Good morning. In the first reading today, we have the story from Exodus when Moses was on the mountain receiving the law from God. Israel convinced Aaron to make them a golden calf, and they put that golden calf on and worshiped it, saying, "This is your God, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." And it makes the Lord furious, of course. This story must have been important to Israel because it shows up in the Psalm also. And it has what I think is one of the great lines of Scripture. Our fathers made a calf in Horeb and adored a molten image. They exchanged their glory for the image of a grass-eating bullock. They exchanged their glory for the image of a grass-eating bullock. What glory is he talking about? The glory of having God as their God, right? The Lord is their God. That raised them above every other people, right? What nation has a God like our God? We hear in one of the other Psalms, right? And we can think of this for ourselves too. Sometimes we think of, or probably most of the time, we think of what we should or shouldn't do as part of the law, the moral law, either given by the church or the Scripture or God in some way, but that we should do this or shouldn't do that. And that's a valid way of looking at things. But the other way of looking at it is that, is this behavior beneath me? Is this behavior equal to the dignity of a Christian? You remember in the Middle Ages, the idea of noblesse oblige, that the nobles were held to a higher standard of behavior than other people, And so there were certain behaviors that were considered common, and a noble should not engage in them. And Jesus says the same thing in a way in Matthew's gospel. You remember this. You've heard it said that you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. I say, even love your enemies. If you love only those who love you, what good is that? Even tax collectors do that. Remember how much the Jews hated tax collectors, right? Tax collectors were beneath the dignity of a Jew. And Jesus is saying, you want to be like the tax collectors, or do you want to be better than the tax collectors? Or if you greet only those who greet you, what is the big deal about that? Even Gentiles do the same, he says. And again, the Jews did not want to be like the Gentiles, right? A Gentile was lower than the Jew for the ancient Israel. And so think about it. What are we called to as Christians? Our inheritance is glory. And I love this in Psalm 8. You remember this. When I look at the heavens, the moon and the stars which you arranged, what is man that you care for us? The Son of Man that you think about us. And yet, you have made us little less than a God. And that's true. We're called to live in glory. Our inheritance is to live with the saints, live with the angels on an equal level, so to speak, as they. We're called to share divine life, divine glory. And so we could say this behavior is wrong or that behavior is wrong or whatever, and that's fine. But we could also say, when I'm being small-minded or mean, when I'm arguing and complaining, when I steal or lie, or when I'm promiscuous, these are behaviors beneath my dignity as a Christian. So this day I want you to think about this. What your inheritance is. Imagine yourself in heaven. Imagine yourself equal with the angels. Imagine yourself living and speaking, seeing God face to face. That is your dignity as a Christian and my dignity as a Christian. And so maybe we can think about that. What behaviors are equal to our dignity? God bless you.